The NBA is filled with amazing players throughout the league, capable of doing things that we think are impossible. Players such as LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi, and Harden are some of the most recognizable faces in the league, on some of the best teams in the league as well. However, as great as they are, and as good as their respective teams are, there's very little chance that they could single-handedly lead their team to a championship. This is where the importance of role players come in. What is a role player? Well, in my opinion, a role player is a non-star player who knows his role on the team and is very effective at it. Prime examples include 3-and-D guys such as Danny Green and Marcus Smart, elite floor spacers such as Duncan Robinson and Davi Bertans, and do-it-all big men such as Serge Ibaka and Aaron Baines. And while the NBA does have its fair share of great role players, there's one man who I think stands above the rest, and it's Robert Covington. Unlike most NBA players, Covington's path to the NBA wasn't your typical one. After spending 4 years at Tennessee State, he went undrafted but was able to join the Houston Rockets for the 2013 Summer League and earned himself a multi-year deal with the team. In his rookie year, however, Covington played just 7 games, spending most of his time in the G League where he was named the G League All-Star, All-Star MVP, G League First Team, and G League Rookie of the Year. Philadelphia eventually signed him in the 2014-15 season after he was waived by Houston. It was here where he would make a name for himself as one of the most elite 3-and-D players in the league, and a solid 4th to 5th option for the Sixers as well, along with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. He was also a pretty good wing rebounder for them, as he averaged about 5.5 to 6 rebounds per game during his time with the Sixers. He continued to play his role at an elite level, averaging 2.5 threes, 1.7 steals, and nearly a block a game in the 2017-18 season, and this culminated in him being named to the All-Defensive First Team. However, when it seemed that Philly had their perfect wing player, in a weird turn of events, when it seemed like Covington was an absolute perfect fit for the contending Sixers team, who had someone like Ben Simmons who couldn't shoot, and Joel Embiid who was clogging up the paint, he was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves along with Dario Saric in exchange for Jimmy Butler, who left the team just the season after for the Miami Heat. In his 4 full seasons in Philly, Covington averaged 12.9 points, 5.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 1.6 steals, 0.7 blocks, and 2.4 threes a game. Covington's time in Minnesota was extremely unfortunate for both sides. The Timberwolves, who had just made the playoffs as an 8th seed the year before, expected Covington to be more of a floor spacer than Jimmy Butler, while maintaining the elite defense that he provided. Unfortunately for both Covington and the Timberwolves, he suffered through a bone bruise in his right knee, and after suffering a setback in the recovery process, he was ruled out for the rest of the season after just 22 games, and had arthroscopic surgery on the knee. The following season, Covington played in 48 games for the Timberwolves, and was then traded to his first and current team, the Houston Rockets, at the trade deadline in a 4-team deal. So, what makes Covington so great? Why did the Rockets trade one of their key pieces in Clint Capella just to acquire Covington? Let's talk about it. Beginning with his physical profile, Covington is listed at 6'7", 211 pounds. He primarily plays the power forward position for the Rockets, but occasionally slides over to the center position. Like I stated before, Covington is an elite perimeter defender, but he's also capable of guarding bigs and protecting the rim because of his 7'2" wingspan. In fact, Covington has averaged 2.5 blocks per game since being traded to Houston, getting at least 1 block in all but 1 of his 14 appearances, and having 2+ blocks in 11 out of 14 games with the Rockets. He's even had a stretch of 6 straight games with 3 or more blocks, something that Clint Capella, a 6'10 center with a 7'5 wingspan, couldn't do. Covington's wingspan also plays a key role in his elite perimeter defense, as he uses his lateral quickness and that long wingspan to contest and strip whoever he's guarding. Combine these two together and Covington is one of the most versatile wings in the league, being able to guard both the perimeter and the post, making him an integral part of Houston's defensive scheme. He will also be extremely important for them in the playoffs, as he'll more than likely be assigned to the elite wings and bigs of the Western Conference, such as LeBron, AD, Kawhi, and Jokic. The addition of Covington, in my opinion, has given the Rockets much more depth on the defensive end. By trading away Capella, who could only guard bigs down low, the Rockets have now created a starting lineup that can easily switch between each other, and a lineup of guys who can guard both the perimeter and post effectively. Aside from his defense, Covington's second biggest strength is his ability to shoot the 3-ball and space the floor. In fact, a majority of his shots, about 65% of them, come from the 3-point line. After shooting 34.6% on 6.5 attempts during the first half of the season with Minnesota, Covington's attempts have shot up to 8 per game while he was with the Rockets, and he's hitting nearly 3 of them. Nearly all of his threes are from the catch and shoot variety, and he leads the Rockets in both attempts and makes in that category. At 91.9% of his threes have been assisted on for the season, so Covington is basically a spot-up shooter. Covington's spacing has been a godsend for the Rockets, more specifically for Russell Westbrook. By removing Capella from the paint and replacing him with a shooter in Covington who can spot up or run the pick and pop, Westbrook's game has improved leaps and bounds, playing the best basketball since his MVP season and the most efficient basketball of his career. Here are his stats before the Covington trade, and here are his stats after the Covington trade. With the Rockets' new addition, Westbrook has free reign on an open paint and doesn't need to attempt as many threes as he can rely on Covington to pick up the load, who is also a much better free throw shooter than Capella as well, shooting 79.6% on the season and 81.1% on his career. This allows the Rockets much more flexibility at the end of games and the playoffs without having to suffer from any defensive setbacks that would have occurred if they had to sub Capella out in crunch time situations. The last thing I want to talk about is Covington's rebounding, something that I think is overlooked, especially during his time with the Rockets. Like I said earlier, Covington has always been a solid rebounder for his position, averaging 5.5 rebounds before his time with the Rockets. However, since he's been with Houston, Covington's been averaging nearly 8 rebounds per game, a career high, hustling on both the offensive and defensive glass. Why is this important? Well, I believe that this really exemplifies what a role player is. Covington was never asked to be a primary rebounder on a team before, but because of the Rockets playing super small ball with 6'6" PJ Tucker at the center position, Covington has taken it upon himself to crash the glass harder than before. The ability for a role player to adapt to any situation or any role that they're put in separates the good role players from the great ones. Robert Covington, in my opinion, is the best role player in the league. His seamless transition into the Houston Rockets system has been amazing for both him and Houston. His defensive versatility will never not be useful wherever he goes, but it's especially important for the Rockets, and his presence has given them so much flexibility at the defensive end. His shooting ability has opened up lanes for Russell Westbrook and James Harden, and he has made the game so much easier for them on both ends of the court. When I think of a role player, I think of someone who isn't a superstar or star, knows their value and importance to the team, and executes that role to a high level night in and night out. And when I think of a player who fits that bill, it's Robert Covington. Thank you very much for watching the video, and if you enjoyed, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and comment down below if you think Covington is the best role player in the league, or if you think it's someone else. Thank you very much for watching again, and as always, have a good day, or night, and social distance wherever you are.